Game Clique.
What's good, everybody, and welcome to Game Clique, the literal blackest video game discussion in the industry. This podcast is so black, it's looking for another podcast to be its Coretta.
One, you gonna stop introducing the show without even telling me you're going live. I'm up here destroyed. And to quote the daughter of Coretta Scott, she is not a prop. Her mother is not a prop. But beyond that, it's 2024. Happy New Year. Did I even tell you Happy New Year?
No,
I think I did. Maybe in a group chat. I don't know. We're around.
Happy New Year. We made it.
So I noticed something though.
Mm-hmm.
So the last episode, I couldn't be around, and you happened to replace me with two fine black women. You know, we had Al Boogie and our sis in the chat, and you really try to replace me with these two women, and it made me question, Champ, like, am I not sassy enough for you? Can I not,
trust me, it will never happen again. No, I'm just playing.
Lady Infamous 415 and L Boogie 0208 came through, held it down. So happy to have them. In fact, some of our viewers preferred their take over ours. We had somebody comment who's never, I want to be clear because I read the comments, who's never commented before, come through and say that L Boogie and Lady Infamous are so great for this podcast because they counter some of the trash perspectives that they hear on this podcast all the time. And then they took it back when they realized that they were both champion Starfield. It was like, nah, that's trash too. So
Starfield's not that bad. It's not.
The Steam reviews say it is. So I mean, I wish L Boogie, because you know what was hilarious? They were campaigning so hard for it, but the day that the episode aired, there was a review bomb of Starfield where it just went real bad. So it was like, I don't know, like, unique. That's what you are. But Lardo, for coming through to bless us with that information. We still love you for being here anyway, and for watching previous episodes to at least know that you don't like some of our perspective. But we also had Jake Burnett, who commented and just said, hell yeah. So hell yeah to you too, fam. Yaj280 said that this was the only podcast, the only place that they saw a positive review of Starfield. So for you to say it ain't that bad, Champ, you drinking some
really
Delulu too. You drinking some Delulu. You on that Delulu. It's okay. But I'm
there's a lot of politics around Starfield. I get it. There is some come on. There's a lot of people that were pissed off when they found out that it wasn't going to be on certain consoles.
Yeah. I mean, to quote the great Cat Williams, if Starfield just has a unnatural dedication to losers, that's on them. That's on them, But we got Yip for99 who came through in the live chat. We appreciate you. Held it down from the beginning. They stayed from the beginning to end the chat with us on the live chat. And then last but certainly not least, chat, we are really out here. We up here making it. We had Kelly come through during the live chat and donate another $2. So shout out to Kelly Banks 813. Love you much for becoming a super fan during the live stream. So yeah, thank you so much.
I got plans for that $1.
We got $4 in the bank account, son.
I got plans for that $2.
It's big. We big out here.
That's a big Buford.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we appreciate all of y'all, man. Be sure to keep active if you want to know how to get into the comments section. We go live every other Friday at 3:30 on YouTube for a watch party of our new episode. So be sure to tune in. Be sure to drop the comments. Be sure to be in the live chats, and Duke, maybe we'll shout you out. Who knows?
I would definitely try. For sure. I learned how to read. I'm hooked on phonics these days.
I like to humble you sometimes. I don't want to let you know how necessary you are. But I tried to do the comment section last episode, and not my bag.
It's a lot of screens for no reason. Like, so the very first episode, I was like trying to do my due diligence, and I like wrote them down in a little journal. And I was like, that's too much work. And then I tried to do it live, and it was like, oh, I look like a fool. So, but I'm getting better with it now. We're good.
So yeah, this episode is going to be all about the future. We're talking about the upcoming games in 2024, specifically the ones that we're looking forward to, and specifically we're going to highlight the ones that have Black protagonists in them.
Yep.
But before,
because that's what we do here.
That is what
on this channel.
That is what we do. We like to shine light on those that don't normally get that light, baby. But before we do that, Duke, since you weren't here last episode, and last episode was all dedicated to 2023 and the best games of 2023, I did want to give you some time. I'm not myself too. And kind of show love to those games that didn't get that love, that maybe didn't make the power rankings, or we didn't get to really talk about as much last year.
Indeed. So yeah, there was some, because it was a busy year for gaming in 2023. It certainly was. Like, so you know the game that I'm going to mention. We talked about it previously, and I understand that it's a remake, but so the was Resident Evil 4. Like, so I'm going to give this shout out to Dead Space. I think the developers who took on the task of redesigning Dead Space for a modern gaming situation, because they did more than just do a one-to-one copy. They added voice acting for the main character. They made the entire game seamless instead of level-based. They added new atmospheric and, different graphical detail. I think what they did in Dead Space was phenomenal. They fixed up the skill trees to make it less cumbersome, because in the old Dead Space, it was like you had to like sacrifice, and some people may like that, but I didn't. But it was like you had to sacrifice some nodes in order to actually get skills or open doors. They took that out, and it was like, look, the nodes are just for the skill tree now. And I enjoyed that. I loved it. And they also kept the New Game Plus goodies as well. So anybody who knows, I mean, the game is years old now, but they got like the little finger bang thing. They kept that. They did a one-to-one thing for it, and they updated it, and I loved it. I thought it was really, really great. And I'm sad to hear that allegedly the game didn't get enough sales to warrant a remake of Part 2. And I think that's tragic. I really do, because in a world in which we got these other games out here, and I just saw that Callisto Protocol, I know it's the original developer of Dead Space, but Callisto Protocol is getting a digital deluxe edition in a couple of weeks or something. I'm like, I could do without, but Dead Space is something phenomenal.
Yeah, I think the lack of sales of Dead Space, it's due to a lot of stuff. Mainly, Dead Space and Callisto Protocol kind of both was eating each other's lunch, especially with them both coming out within a month of each other.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I know Dead Space is very critically acclaimed, but I do think it's a little niche in compared to a lot of other like horror shooters. Like, there's not a lot of people who, I mean, for one, know about Dead Space, let alone like love it enough to play it 2-3 times. So yeah. It's unfortunate.
I just saying, they even updated the lore. Like, they really deep dived into it. Like, they made some of the transmissions and like character logs that you find, they made it more cohesive with the rest of the story of things that we already know. They even did some tie-ins to like the animated film. I forget the name of it right now. They created like a real cohesive project where it fits directly within the timeline of everything that we know about Dead Space. And I was like, that's real dedication. And I won't say rarely, but not enough. I don't think we get enough of that kind of attention to detail and care about lore and just the enjoyment of a game in general. They really did their best. And I gotta give it up for the fact that, to my memory right now, I don't recall, it being broken. Like, I don't recall there being like we needing extra patches in order to make the game work during release. So, dope.
Yeah, super polished. And also, like, one thing that Dead Space doesn't get enough credit for, and it's very weird to me that the industry didn't really take example in regards to that, is how minimalistic the
UI.
Yeah, the UI and the HUD.
I love that UI so much. That's all I care about sometimes. I swear to God. Like, just, it's so good. It's a really great UI.
It's so weird to me that, like, people didn't, like, copy that. Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I understand. Dead Space was really good. It didn't really get the love that it deserves. But also, we've been waffling off and on whether we were going to really, like, give remakes their just due on the power rankings. And I agree with the final kind of, like, judgment that we came to, where we were going to kind of, like, leave remakes off, at least of last year, because last year was just so stacked. Totally get it. But yeah, if you like horror, if you like space, if you like cutting things limbs off, highly recommend Dead Space Remake.
Quite intense. I like it.
If you want the exact opposite, check out Lego 2K Drive.
Now, you gotta tell me a little bit about this, because, like, when I saw this on the list, I was like, I don't know this game. I can tell you the last Lego games that I played was, like, the Marvel ones, and, like, I played those a little bit. Do they all have the same premise? Because I always felt like all the Lego games was the same. It was just like collect Legos and
so it is
beat them up.
It is under the Lego umbrella, but this is not like those other Lego games, which are basically like co-op brawlers for the most part. This is an actual open world kart racer.
Huh.
Yeah. So it came out earlier.
Open world Lego is intriguing.
Yeah, well, they've dabbled.
I mean, because Marvel did it, but in a way.
Yeah, they've dabbled in it before. There's a Lego, like, GTA clone called Lego City Undercover.
I feel like this is so niche. Like, like, am I missing something? Because I never heard of this.
Well,
like, this is interesting.
Well, with that, kids like Grand Theft Auto. Let's not beat around that bush. A lot of kids play Grand Theft Auto. So Lego, I guess, was just like, all right, let's make a kid-friendly Grand Theft Auto. And I think it did pretty well sales-wise. It got ported on a lot of stuff. So the reason why a lot of people don't know about that is originally it was a Wii U exclusive.
Okay.
And then when they realized that, okay,
I mean, it's the top-selling console. We I'm sorry, Switch. I was thinking about the Switch. Wii U. You said Wii U.
Wii U.
Wii.
The console that's so memorable.
The intro.
The one that's so memorable that you mistook it for something else.
Yeah, because that did release. That was a thing. There was the Wii and then the Wii U.
Yeah, so
I'm still mad about that naming thing in general. Remember it was called the Nintendo Revolution?
Yeah.
It sounded interesting. Then it was like, here comes the Wii. I'm gonna play with my Wii.
Well, it made sense, and the Wii was so successful. I think they wanted to ape off of it.
Wii U,
because it's for Wii and it's for you. But
you know what would have been hilarious?
What?
If Mario just like when Mario was running around the map in a Wii U game, it was like Wii U. Wii. All right.
But so
the car racer. What's going on? So different cars and things.
Yeah, so that's one of the cool things about it is that it has that Lego customization about it. So you can there are karts that you can win based on how well you compete in races, but you can actually customize from the ground up your karts, so you can build whatever kart you want to build. So like I've raced on a little bit. There's people racing in like giant donuts. There's people like trying to recreate real world like race cars, real world like licensed cars in the game. And it's super detailed in regards to that. But not only that, like the racing feels kind of good. So with kart racers, a lot of kart racers kind of fall into that kind of realm where you're playing it for a little bit and then you're kind of wondering like, why am I not just playing Mario Kart? You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a better version of this in Mario Kart. Let me just go play Mario Kart. Like, there are some exceptions, like Crash Team Racing's really good, like Diddy Kong Racing's really good, but for the most part, like, people try to make those kart racers and they just pale in comparison to Mario Kart. But with Lego 2K Drive is doing so much so different, like with the open world and with, so it's let's talk about the open world for a little bit. So it's not one singular open world. There's like open realms. So there's like big open maps. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them that you can jump around to, but each map is pretty decently sized and it's pretty well populated. There's a lot of like side missions in there and side races you can do. All the opponents that you have their own like introduction cutscene and narrative and character. It's 100% voice acted.
Need for Speed.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like Need for Speed Underground or Need for Speed, like one of the open world Need for Speeds, but targeting kids. But even though like I hate saying that because there are a lot of adults that still love Lego, still love the Lego aesthetic. Like I think that game is for those people as well. I do want to point out that the rubber banding here, so in kart racers, there's something called rubber banding where in order to keep it interesting, if you're like super far ahead of the group, there's a mechanic that kind of makes them kind of speed up to catch up to you and vice versa. So the rubber banding here is like super crazy. Like there were some races and some instances where I felt like I should be like dusting these apples, and like they just always felt like they were right behind me the whole time.
Okay, yeah. So you try an award. All right, I get it. I understand. It's for the kiddies. I get it.
Yeah,
you know,
but right.
Can't make them feel too bad. But like, at least you tried.
Yeah.
You tried.
But yeah, I really enjoy my time with Lego 2K Drive. I've been playing it a little bit. It was in last month's PS Plus monthly games.
I should have downloaded that.
Yeah,
I think I did. I take it. I try to do a habit. I won't be looking at all of them. I just be like, yeah, click.
I always claim them, whether I download it or not. But yeah, Lego 2K Drive. If you got PS Plus and you happen to claim it in December, it's worth a play. And even if you didn't, I'm pretty sure it came out originally in May, I believe. So it should be on super sale. I think it's definitely worth it if you're into kart racers or if you have a moderately aged kid. It might be a little too overwhelming for somebody who's 6 or 7 if they're like 9 or 10. And
nonsense. My mother bought me Final Fantasy 1 when I was 4 years old. Nonsense.
But yeah, man, check that out. Lego 2K Drive. Nobody talks about it enough.
Respect. Well, I got an interesting one. So I know that we're talking about 2023, but this game technically released in 2022, then got re-released for the Xbox last year, back in April 12th. So we're talking about Ghostwire Tokyo. It's currently on PlayStation Plus right now. I've been playing it and going through the game, and I also watched some things on YouTube about it. The game is solid. It has a little bit of jank because it came from a new developer, and I want to be clear what some of that jank is. One is just that it's a first-person shooter of sorts, except you're using spells. And I don't believe that the default settings are fine-tuned enough for it to be a first-person shooter. So you do need to go in settings in order to fix it up, because I was getting a headache. Like it felt real floaty. It was weird. And then, ironically enough, you have to, it's almost like a cheat code in order to unlock the English dub in the game, because you can only unlock English voice actors in the title screen. During the title screen options. If you try to go in game in order to get it, you won't get it. But anyways, if you like slinging spells, if you like Doctor Strange or Scarlet Witch, like I think this is some kind of the closest you're going to get to it right now. And it's a huge open world game. It's a big collectathon. So if you're into those, have fun with that. But in general, I think the combat is pretty sick. The storyline is interesting, and some of the concepts that it plays with psychologically in the game, and like it's pretty nice looking. It's not the best graphical thing that you're ever going to experience, but it is definitely a really solid experience, I think. And I liked it. And I like magic, man. And, you telling me I can play with wind, fire, and water spells, and I can grab people's souls and, destroy them from a distance or up close, or also use a bow and arrow. Yeah, I'm there. I'm here to play this game. So it's pretty dope.
Yeah, so Ghostwire, it's actually not made by the people who made it is Tango Gameworks. It is new to what they normally do. They're the people who made Evil Within, the Evil Within 1 and 2, and then after this they wound up making another game we're about to talk about. We'll get to it. Freaking Hi-Fi Rush.
They made Hi-Fi Rush too?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay. I might be having to look out for this developer. I'm afraid about being supportive because the last time I did that, it was Platinum Games and then they fell off. So, but I'm afraid.
But yeah, I did play Ghostwire Tokyo back when it was a PlayStation exclusive. I did enjoy my time with it. If I only had to pick one real nitpick, is that the open world, it feels a little empty sometimes.
It is kind of empty,
yeah,
to a degree.
Yeah.
But you can fly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, the traversal is super fun. And by empty, like it's clearly empty by design because that's the story of the game. Is that everybody is gone. But do like be prepared for that like everybody is gone in this massive world. But yeah, I support that pick. Ghostwire Tokyo.
I'm also playing on hard mode. I feel like the enemy density is a little bit higher. But yeah, it in general, like you're going to be running into dogs, cats, and some Tengu. and the rest of it is all enemies. So yeah.
Speaking of which, why not? Let's talk about my second underappreciated game of last year. Now, technically, it's people are going to look at this and be like, this was number 10 on the power rankings. How is it underserved? How is it underappreciated? But I do think that even in
you're like, I need to suck on it a little bit more.
Well, no, because like I always get this vibe. And
you got to tell him no. He wants the party and you got to tell him no. I'm sorry.
I got the vibe last episode that like people were kind of leaving it alone because it was kind of like getting the consolation prize. Like, okay, yeah, cool, quirky game. It got a lot of love because of the shadow drop. So yeah, I do think it needs to be on here. But outside of the shadow drop, outside of it being like one of the first good Xbox first party games in a very long time, this is a really good game. It's a really good action. What do we call that subgenre of being
character action?
All right, yeah, it's a really good character action game, and I really do think it does something very innovative to that genre by adding that rhythm game element to it. So Hi-Fi Rush, again, for people who have not been watching this show and have not heard us talking about Hi-Fi Rush, it's made by Tango Gameworks, published developer that normally just makes horror games like Evil Within and Ghostwire Tokyo. They really kind of like went out their wheelhouse to make this game, and they really knocked it out of the park. The art style is crazy good and crazy original. There's a lot of attention to detail to the world.
I saw that they did a reference to Xenogears in there, and that's my heart. That is my whole heart. They did a whole reference to Xenogears. Unfortunately, it's the bad part, so F them for that. But anything that honors Xenogears, I'm in support of.
Yeah, they make a lot of references to a lot of different games. I don't want to like spoil it just in case anybody does want to go in there and play it. But the one thing I do want to point out is because when people hear rhythm game and rhythm mechanic, a lot of people, especially those like rhythm impaired people out there, they kind of get nervous about whether this game is for them or not. The accessibility and how they cater to those people who might be a little skittish to pick up a game that really emphasizes that you need to do things to the beat. So everywhere you look, there's something that's kind of like reminding you of what the beat is on. So like the buildings are bumping to the beat. The like debris that's on the ground is like bumping up and down to the beat. The enemies are moving to the beat as well. So it's really hard to not understand when you're supposed to be pressing a button.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, we talked about it on the podcast before. The only gripe that I have as a person who did not play it is I think this was a real farce and missed opportunity to have a black character. Because why is the main character white in a rhythm-based game? It makes absolutely no sense to me.
So
now, if you're going to have a white character in a rhythm-based game, they need to be in hard mode. That is the hard mode unlocked. All right.
So you bring up a good point, and I think that I'm okay with that because the way that he is portrayed in the game. So he is portrayed as kind of like, I don't want to say an outsider, but he is that typical young hero to be where he's kind of like learning how to do this. He's learning how to fight to the rhythm. He's
learning how to colonize and steal people's rhythm. Okay,
but, oh my god! But there are like the oh my god! Not I hate that you pointed this out because there are like some black proteges and there are some black people in his crew who do act as like
the mentors or trainers. Is that what they do? They act as his trainers.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, anyways, if you're curious about the game, there's a big rumor that the game is going to be releasing on another platform soon. We do not have any confirmation of which one it is. The rumors was leading towards PS5, but now it's leaning towards Switch. So either way, if you're not an Xbox owner, there is an opportunity to play this game coming up that will be on a different console, maybe all of them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So maybe we'll have a chance to talk about it on this year's Power Rankings again. But I hope it does. I hope that is the game that Xbox is porting to other systems. I'm not a big fan of exclusivity, even though I understand it from a business standpoint, but locking stuff and keeping like majority of the audience away from a game just for a business decision, like I don't really support that. So yeah, the more people who could play this game, the better. I hope it does get ported to other stuff. If you do have an Xbox already, or if you have a gaming PC with Game Pass, this is on Game Pass. So download it that way, play it. Really good. Hi-Fi Rush. What's your next game, Duke?
My next one is curious. So I was thinking about just gaming in general, and I didn't want to miss out on ongoing games. And one of my faves, and I talked about it a bit before, is Warframe. And they had one of the best updates that I think they've had in a long time. And it included a lot of quality of life features. So this one was called Whispers in the Wall. It was announced during TennoCon. It was announced during TennoCon, but during the VGAs, the Video Game Awards, they also had a little spotlight to talk about this next update that was coming through. This update brought cross save with it. So now there's account merging that you're able to do if you started on Xbox, but you want to continue on your PlayStation 5 or vice versa, different consoles. You can do that now with this update. They added new in-game missions. I think one of the things that people complain about with Warframe was just like, well, what is the in-game besides fashion? And the fashion is great, by the way. They added new missions where you can really start to increase your power level. The power creep is insane right now because beyond the general modding, they have this new feature called shards that you're able to farm for, and the shards add additional power to all of your frames, and there's different ways to customize them and just make them do whatever you want. Not long just before this, they also made it where all of your companions can no longer permanently die, which was a big stress during people's, people complaining about that during the game. So anyways, it's just a bunch of things. They added new lighting, so the game looks even better than what it used to. And mind you, this game is completely free. And a lot of the things that you're able to purchase is really just in order to save time. You're able to earn everything in the game for free. But if you do not feel like farming for it or waiting for things to build, then you spend the platinum in order to just get it as soon as possible. I think it's a really, really great business model. Rebecca has taken over the team. She used to be a community manager, and now she is the lead developer for this game now. And that is amazing. And she's taking it in directions that I can't wait to see more of. And the lore is crazy right now. It's like heavily inspired by Lovecraft. I say Lovecraft. HD Lovecraft. What is his name? Cthulhu. That guy who did all that stuff. Like the lore and everything is like real inspired by that genre of stuff right now. That genre of horror. So yeah.
The famous author Cthulhu.
Not him. His work was Cthulhu.
I know what you talk about.
The racist guy. Yes,
I have always been curious about trying this game, and it's crazy to me that how old this game is. Like, this game came out last gen, and they're still supporting it.
Yeah. It was my very first game on PlayStation 4.
It's nuts. And then looking at this gameplay, this joint looks good.
It was good, champ. It was good. The way that I treat Warframe is there's definitely times where I'm not playing it, right? I can go cycles without playing this game, but I always come back. It's just good, and there's always things to do. So, and I feel like I spend money in a game, but it's because it is one of the only games, and I swear I'm saying this as not someone who is sponsored or any kind of way. It is one of the only games where I feel like the money that I spend on it goes into the development of the game. Literally the development of the game. Every update is about getting more quality of life features.
I support it.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out Warframe if you it's literally on everything. It's on PS4, it's on PS5, it's on Series X, it's on Series S, it's on Xbox One, it's on a Nintendo Switch.
And this year it's coming to cell phones.
That's insane.
Yep, and it will still be cross-play and cross-save.
No excuse. No excuse. I need to dive in.
Yeah.
But so my last underappreciated game of the year, and I really do mean it here when I say it's underappreciated. I'm
sorry, dude. My do-rag tight as hell.
I'm gonna take you off camera so you can fix that. So
it hurts so bad. I was like, I feel my buddy. Oh God.
I do hate that.
That's a little better.
I do hate that. Like, you gotta have it tight. But like,
Jesus.
Yeah. And then like for me, I gotta put it over my ears, because if you don't, like, when you have short hair, if you don't put it over your ears, you like make a part in your hair. So then my ears start hurting. And it's
I got the locks. I used to put them inside. When I put them inside, this would hurt, and I just said, "F that." I'm an elf. But right now, it was like.
But
I feel like ladies when they got pet their weave. I'm sorry. You can go ahead.
My underappreciated game of the year, it really is like, it came out. Even when it came out, people weren't really talking about it unless you were already in that kind of like sub audience. WWE 2K23. I really do think that this game, first of all, is one of the most graphically impressive games of this gen. I'm willing to like stamp that. Like, this game looks.
That's interesting. Really, I mean, I haven't looked at it, but I just,
Yeah.
Is Dion Lennox in there? He not in that one, right? He not in.
You're sick. First of all, you're sick in the visual.
He not.
No, he just debuted. He's not in there. But
DLC update.
He's probably not even going to be in the next one. But but yeah, this game looks really good. Now, granted, the people who make this game, it's published by 2K Sports, obviously, well, 2K Games, and is developed by Visual Concepts, who are the people who normally make the 2K Sports games. They make NBA 2K every year. But they take advantage of the way wrestling is composed, because there's really only 2 to 4 people in the ring at a time. So it's not really too much you have to render. So there really can be a lot of attention to detail into the character models. And everybody looks almost flawless. Graphically is really good. I think this is one of the best control-wise this game has been in a very long time. Some people will argue that like some 2Ks prior to this kind of played a little better. But I do think this one really delivered on the features. This one is so jam-packed with content. So you know how all the consoles did their little year in review thing? Kind of like how everybody's aping the Spotify thing. So I had bought this on Xbox, and I'd seen by Xbox year in review. in a year that Starfield came out, a game that's like 200 hours long, this was the game that I put the most hours in. Because it is.
Great.
It
Who
is.
are you playing as, champ?
I create a character. I create a wrestler. but no, there's a lot of campaigns. So there's 2 campaigns for created wrestlers. There's a male and female story, and it's different depending on whether your wrestler is a male or a female. So I went through as a male created wrestler, and then I created a female, went through again just to see how different it was, and it is like 2 completely different stories. So I played through those. Then there's a story mode for like that you can do for like wrestlers that already exist. So I went through that as a wrestler that already exists. As Carmelo Hayes.
I'm happy about that. Happy about that one. Great asset features. Files.
Get out of here. So
yes, nice files.
Then there's a GM mode that's really fun if you like to like get into the minutia and try to book shows and you can compete with up to 3 other people to try to see who can book the best show and stuff like that. The online's really good. There's this card game that is kind of like the trend with all sports games that they've been trying to put in there. I'm not a big fan of it, but I think a lot of people play that.
You know they got one in Genshin, right? I'm so sick of it.
Really?
Like they got it. Yeah, it's been a few updates. Like that is.
I think it's the easiest model to kind of like throw microtransactions in. So I think that's why.
No, it's weird because I don't think there's any microtransactions featured around the Genshin card game right now. Tactical card game. That's interesting.
That is so weird.
But I just be like, why did you put time into this? Because I don't give a tiny minutia. I know what I was going to say.
But the reason why I say this is so underrated is because they really, we got to award season, and this didn't get mentioned as a fighting game or as a sports simulator game. And it got to the point that you could tell that like the Game Awards, the people who make the nominees, they were running out of ideas. Because like they put like EA F1 in there. Like who played that? Who played F1?
I can't remember when it was, but it was it 2 years ago? It was a really weird game that got added to the fighting game genre.
Sifu.
And I think it was like, yeah.
They put Sifu in fighting game. Like they never, when it comes time to acknowledge these games, they never acknowledge them. And I understand that the pro wrestling fan base is a little niche. And then when you try to like put the Venn diagram of pro wrestling fans who are also gamers, the audience gets a little smaller. But that doesn't take away from the fact that, for the most part, these games are really good. They look really good graphically. They play really good. They're so feature intense. And yeah, I do think
we gotta do something. We gotta do something, champ, to really honor these games and the developers. Because clearly the VGA said "F that" this year. They said, "Get off my stage."
You want to?
They said, "Time's up."
You want something done?
Black man ruined it for all of you. It's done. No talking.
I mean, they really like. They might as well have pulled Sandman out and just like.
They could have. I mean, it was a person talking about individual that passed away during development, and they played that siren just as. I say, oh, we vicious out here. So,
but yeah, play 2K, play WWE 2K. If you're into wrestling, I don't think this is the game that if you're not a wrestling fan, I don't think this is going to be the one to win you over. But if you're into wrestling,
but you know what I think? I think because something else slightly unrelated. They said bring back adult sleepovers, like in order to reduce stress and and like just have fun again. Just bring back adult sleepovers. And games like wrestling, it wasn't something that I was like super into, but those are the kinds of experiences that are just like a little, mindless and just fun. Just something to get into, and like you can play that, with your friends. Does it have, now this is the question, because the way game development we doing now, does it have couch co-op? Are you able to do couch co-op?
Yes. So you can play on same system up to 4 players.
It's a winner. Mm-hmm. It's a winner. Mm-hmm. It's a winner. So many games don't even have that anymore. Mm-hmm. And refuse to add it. So yeah, I think that is definitely one of those things where it's just like you having some friends over, you're, have no responsibilities for the next 24 to 48 hours, whatever. Just have some fun. Play some wrestling, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's same system up to 4 players. It's online for up to 8. The game does get a little wonky the more people and items are in the ring at one time. But yeah, this is super cool wrestling game. It's not as arcadey as a wrestling game you may be thinking of. Like this is not No Mercy. This is not WCW versus NWO World Tour. This is kind of more leaning towards like the simulator side. So it does require you to, I guess, know how wrestling works and know the real like minutia of like what moves are better than others and where to go and what to stuff like that.
Man, we just push buttons. I don't know what you're talking about. Push buttons. Does this button kick them in the balls? Just can I do a cold stone stutter? Can I do that? Can I do that?
You can do a cold stone creamery stutter. All right,
that's it. That's all I need to know. You need to bounce off the rope and fly into somebody. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out.
Are you aware that The Rock came back?
I am.
Okay.
We all gotta get paid. We all got to get paid. No, you were actually one who let me know about that.
Oh, I forgot. Okay. So, yeah. I wanted to see how far.
John Cena came back too, right?
Oh yeah, John Cena came back when the actor strike happened.
Okay, right. So when it was because of the actor strike, it was like, yeah. This is like the only form of acting that's not really acting besides porn.
Can we have one episode where we don't mention?
It's not covered by the acting strike.
Can we have one episode where we don't mention porn?
You were the one who brought it up on the very first episode of us coming here. I just thought you set a precedent. It's here now. Those who may be new, check out the very first episode.
My God.
Game Clique. Champ has some very interesting ideas on how we make our debut.
For those of you that are new, check out our partners at Black Power Media. Black Power Media is a black radical independent media project who seek to challenge the narrative about black politics and the black condition. With shows like Game Clique, I Mix What I Like, Remix Morning Show, and other future programming, they will deliver the news and information our community and others need to break through today's mainstream propaganda machine. So if you're watching this now, I hope you're watching this on Black Power Media's YouTube channel. If not, go to youtube.com/Black Power Media period and go ahead and check us out. Hit the subscribe button. And if you're feeling real, as I see, go ahead and become a super fan and start paying them some money, because every cent counts and every cent helps small shows like Game Clique and everything else that comes on Black Power Media thrive and survive.
Yes. Help them pay for the marketing. Because there's more shows coming. There's more shows coming. I'm gonna make. But no, I said that because every week is almost every week anyway. We get someone in comment and we're like, I had no idea Black Power Media was bringing out new shows. And it's like,
every single episode, every single one.
It's like, who are y'all? We're here. We're validated. Okay.
Episode 9.
We went through a grueling enrollment process.
And yeah, you can support that way. If you do want to support Patreon, go to patreon.com/Black Power Media for as little as $2 a month. You can also help make sure that shows like us continue to do what we are doing.
Indeed.
Hell yeah. So look, don't go anywhere. We got to take a quick break. I got to go to the bathroom. I'm human.
You must stay alive. You ain't even have to say all that. Just cut away. What are you doing?
The bathroom is a while. I gotta go to the bathroom. Don't go.
It's me who has to wait. Like, I'm the one who has to actually experience this wait. This is ridiculous.
We're gonna be right back to talk about these really big games coming up in 2024. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. we are freaking back.
Yes.
We never went anywhere, y'all. And we're done with the past. 2023.
Except for not, because the next game we're talking about
this is
got a lot of past stuff in it.
This is true. We will still talk about retro stuff when it's relevant, but for the rest of today, we're all about the future. We're all about upcoming games in 2024. And first, before we get into our own personal takes, I figured we should take some time to really highlight some games that are spotlighting and star as playable characters black people with black faces. Now, this does not include games that are coming out
when black faces. That's weird.
Black people with black faces. Black people and black faces. Those are two separate things. What do you?
Okay. All right. Understood.
Now, the reason I say that is because we're not going to include games that you can customize characters, because we don't know how good the customization is going to be in certain games, and I don't want to spotlight a Dragon's Dogma.
If it's not, I was about to say, if it's not Hogwarts Legacy customization, it's gone.
Yeah, even though we will talk about Dragon's Dogma 2 later, but in this specific focus, I figure we should focus on something where it's really curated. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. If black faces make sense. Let's talk about Prince of Persia.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's talk about Prince of Persia. The Lost Crown. That's coming out really soon. So it's coming out January 18th. There is already a free demo available right now. So if you're interested in Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, you could try it out on PS5 and Xbox Series X or S. Or Switch. I think it's on Switch too.
Yeah. Yes, I was going to say and Switch. But yeah.
I know it pains you to say that. Switch. And Switch.
I own one.
You do.
I do, yeah. It's there. It's around. It's hilarious. I had somebody come over not too long ago, and they wanted to play the Switch, and it took me 20 minutes to find the power cord.
Why is it not already plugged in?
I used the cord to charge, what was I charging? My scale. I have a weight scale. I was like, I need this to charge it. Sorry. And I could remember that I took it away from the entertainment center to charge it. My Nintendo Switch is for decoration, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's just there, all right? I own it. It's available. It's in my house.
So, dude, you're a big fan of Prince of Persia, the franchise, the IP, right?
Big is a weird description. Big is descriptive.
You really like Sands of Time.
I'm intrigued by the Prince of Persia franchise. Is what I will say. It is how I will articulate. I was intrigued by it to the point that, if we're being real, champ, the only Prince of Persia game that I own, the only one that I bought, is the bad one. It was the remake that was done in 2008.
Oh, I think it was.
That's the only one I ever bought. But I played The War Within, I think, The Warrior Within or something.
Okay, the second one.
I played that one. I loved it, but I never went to go buy it. So I will say I've been intrigued by the experience. And yeah, it's definitely had things that I've liked, and Assassin's Creed was one of the things that I can say for sure I was a big fan of. And that game, clearly used a bunch of the systems that was, first introduced to us in Prince of Persia.
Yeah. So this is, to be clear, this is not reminiscent of the gameplay that you remember from Sands of Time or Warrior Within. This is more so akin to the old school 2D one. So it's more like a Metroidvania in that sense, where you're in this kind of 2D maze, and you're kind of navigating that as you're also not playing as the prince in this game.
You're not.
You're playing as a royal guard.
A slave.
a royal guard
who looks like Killmonger.
So yeah, the prince goes missing, and you're playing as one of his royal guards, trying to look for
to go save him. Yep.
Yeah, and this guy's black. I do want. I do. I am. I don't want to bury the lead, but I am interested in seeing how the story tackles specifically why he's a black man and why he's there. And if they are going to go into,
it's probably not.
I don't want to discredit it.
One, I will say this: I don't want them to, because this is Ubisoft we're talking about, and they do not have a good history. They do not have a good history. They just don't.
I think with the Far Cries as a series, I think that is the one thing with that franchise that they have been doing well is kind of talking about.
I don't play the Far Cries. They never introduced it.
And I think that's why that
never been intrigued.
You're not familiar with it. So each one does kind of like talk about different kind of like world politic issues and like the white savior complex and things like that.
I'm just thinking about, I don't remember the name of it, but there was a mobile game that they were introducing. I don't know if you recall, but the promotion for the mobile game was talking about all these criminals doing protesting, literally talking about protesting. And then the game was activating people to re-engage in their civic duty and beat up and kill these violent protesters. So that was Ubisoft. That was a mobile game. I forget the name of it, but I was like, ooh, and it was a whole cutscene. It was a whole thing about it. It was the opening, and I was like, ooh, yeah. So it rightfully got critiqued, and they would actually shut down the game or something similar, something along those lines. But it was Ubisoft, and I was just like, hey, crazy, man. It's crazy. I don't know how that got past so many people. It was like QA didn't say it.
Well, a lot of times, and that's the underlying issue of QA is, sometimes they're just happy to be there. So sometimes you don't want to like screw up the hookup by saying that the game you're playing, there's an issue with it. Yeah, so I vaguely remember. I can't find it.
I was traumatized by it. Yeah, so I just remember the premise, and I was like, I just think about it every now and then. It was like, yo, that really came out like during the protest. Like it literally came out like during. I was like, that is, that's something.
It also is also important to note that Ubisoft's not an American-based company; they're in France, so it makes sense that they may be a little detached from.
Oh yeah, that's Haiti.
Prince of Persia.
Yes.
Prince of Persia, really fun.
I happen to know a little bit of thing about my history. I don't want to. It does make everything a little icky, but
I do like, from what I've seen, I haven't got my hands on the demo yet, but it does look like the combat looks really satisfying. There's a lot of differentiation between the enemy types and the boss fights.
In early adopters, people who've been playing, have nothing but good things to say about it so far.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Looking forward to Prince of Persia.
And people want to play with time again, man. In these games, like they just been missing. Like we need that ability. We need that special power, because they do it real nice in the Prince of Persia game.
Damn, when is the last good game that had a time manipulation mechanic? I can't even think of one.
I want to say it was the Prince of Persia that came out after the reboot series, and he was like, yeah, let's go back to our original franchise real quick, the Forbidden Sands or something. I want to say that was it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn it. Yeah, Prince of Persia comes out January 18th. So look forward to that. It's going to be on all next-gen consoles and the Switch and PC. This next game, little divisive. Just a little bit. It's not even out yet. And everybody's already kind of like got their mind made up about it. And I personally, Duke, I know you're going to disagree with me on this. I personally like to give everybody a fair shot. I think people, we're talking about Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League.
Why are we doing this?
Why? Because we're focusing.
Nothing. I'm sorry. It's good.
We are focusing on games coming out in 2024 that have playable black characters that we know of, and Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League has Killshot.
Okay.
And if we want to include all minorities, King Shark, who is also I said just in case we do. Just in case we do.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm a supporter and a fan of all brown people. Not just us.
Okay.
So
right.
King Shark, I guess.
I mean, I support, everyone. Like, I support birds.
Wow.
Fish living. I support all that.
King Shark.
I support those things.
King Shark is played by Samoa Joe, who is a popular pro wrestler. He's also played, he is the person who portrays the body of Sweet Tooth in the Twisted Metal show.
I still haven't watched that.
It's fine.
Much to Anthony Mackie's displeasure.
It's fine.
But it got announced to season 2, so it's got to be somewhere. It's got
somebody watched it.
I don't know. They probably overpaid for it. Yeah, they probably overpaid for it.
Somebody watched it. But anyway, yeah. So Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. It is a 4-player co-op third-person shooter that a lot of people are feeling indifferent about because it has a lot of games as service features in it. There's a lot of microtransactions. There's a lot of grinding, apparently. Again, we haven't had our hands on yet, but there have been hands-on previews that have been coming out, and people have been confirming that there is some grinding. There is a lot of microtransactions. There is that feel that...
Who put Rocksteady up to this, man? I'm so sad.
I am still very confident. And you bring up a good point. So I am still very confident that the people of Rocksteady, the people that created the legendary Arkham trilogy, I am confident that they can pull this through.
Legendary Arkham game, Arkham City.
Wow, Arkham Asylum is good too. What do you mean? Yes, of course, Arkham City overshadows Arkham Asylum because it is the sequel, and clearly it is going to be bigger and better because it's the sequel. But Arkham Asylum was good.
Not always the case.
It is not always.
Okay, but in Arkham Knight, you mentioned as a trilogy part.
The only problem Arkham Knight had was the Batmobile. The Batmobile's ass. Yes. And they make you drive it, which makes it worse. They make you drive it. It's like they tested that game, they realized the Batmobile was not fun and that people may avoid it, and it was like, no, we gotta make people play. We're gonna make people play.
We developed it. We developed this. You gotta spend time doing this.
We put a lot of assets in this. You're gonna drive this goddamn Batmobile. But anyway, back to what we're talking about. Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. From what I've seen, to me this looks like Borderlands. From what it looks like to me. Like Borderlands to me is
I gotta be Borderlands. Okay, go ahead.
And yeah, and that's what I'm getting at is Borderlands.
What was this like emoji that just happened?
I was concerned. It didn't.
I was like, I didn't push a button, so I was like, what just happened?
I wasn't going to say anything because I didn't have my camera up. I had gameplay up, so I was going to let it go. But yeah, I was like,
more question that.
Who is somebody else watching us? Somebody else watching us live? Who is in here? So
You got the light.
somebody was like, hell yeah, it's like Borderlands. But anyway, I do think it's like Borderlands. And Duke, I think you know where I'm going, where in the sense that Borderlands gameplay isn't always the most exciting thing to do at all the times throughout the game. But the game that doesn't hurt the game as a whole. I think Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3 are still extremely fun games to play, especially with 3 other people that you know.
I was about to say, these games are, in my opinion, only fun in co-op.
Yes.
That's the only time they're enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I think these games just don't have, in my, at least with the most recent games anyway, they don't have long shelf lives. They don't last.
But to me, that's not necessarily like a deal breaker for me. Like if a game,
but for a game with microtransactions that wants to be I believe this is a game as service game. It is, right?
Yes. So
the same fun.
My problem with that is a game that's
we're all burnt from Avengers.
Well, so here's the thing with me personally is I have pretty good willpower when it comes to like microtransactions. Like I've never been like really tempted or swayed into buying like skins and buying like stuff like that and getting season passes and battle passes and stuff like that. So the fact that they're offered, as long as it's not a sort of pay to win situation where I have to buy a weapon that I need or I have to buy like extra lives or something like that, it normally doesn't affect me. So I can ignore that personally.
Okay.
Personally for me. I understand that it's gross still, and I understand that it's predatory still, and I acknowledge that. But me personally, in my playing experience, games that offer microtransactions, they might as well not be there because I'm too cheap. I am too cheap to indulge them anyway. So that's not really a COD to me. But I do have a problem with a game being $60 and $70 and still charging nickel and diming people for additional content.
We'll see what happens. I don't know. This is Rocksteady's first endeavor into this, and I'm just highly skeptical. But they got Deadshot and a fish.
And this is where I didn't want to go, is that we wasted majority of a time like really like dunking on this game. I really wanted to talk about how cool the concept is of a game that's tackling having to kill the Justice League and the curiosity in me of whether they're going to actually pull the trigger on killing Superman, on allowing you to kill Batman, on allowing you to kill the Flash and Wonder Woman and Green Lantern. Like,
but it's the Injustice universe. I mean, Injustice universe is weird like that.
Yeah, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay if we kill these guys and then a game comes out and there's a different timeline and they're back. That doesn't bother me because that happens in comics all the time. But to have this closed experience, possibly where that actually happens, because we're talking about DC here. We're talking about DC who worked with Mortal Kombat, who worked with NetherRealm Studios, and specifically told them that, hey, you can't kill. We can't have fatalities in here because we don't want you to kill Superman, and they did it. Like, these people really are hung up on not seeing Superman be murdered, and we're possibly going to get that. Like, that's a big deal.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
It don't matter if it's a good game or a bad game. They got Deborah Wilson in here. And Deborah Wilson is going to always put on a show. Deborah Wilson is going to be playing Amanda Waller in this particular title. And so we should be seeing, some interesting Amanda Waller shenanigans. Because we all know she goes crazy. But so I can't wait to see Deborah Wilson's take on this character. I'm sad that I love that Deborah Wilson always gets like the characters somehow, some way. All the characters always look like Deborah Wilson when she acts is voice acting though somehow, some way. But so I was going to say I'm sad that we're not getting like the thick version of Amanda Waller. This is going to be a little skinnier version. But yeah, can't wait to see what happens.
I had a little crush on Deborah Wilson back in the Mad TV days.
You know, maybe it was just exposure. But I don't know. I'm a homosexual man. I don't know anything.
She built, man. I just want to like take the time and like.
It seemed like she could be a pro wrestler. Yeah.
If
you like pro wrestlers, I can see it.
From an objective standpoint, like take the time, like look at him.
He's petite and very fit. Yeah.
Tales of Kenzara. Is this whole episode going to be filled with awkward segues? Tales of Kenzara ZAU. We talked about this briefly on the last episode that you were on.
Yes.
Yes. Upcoming EA original. Another Metroidvania, but it actually takes place in Africa. It's an African setting.
Yes. Made by an African man. Or at least led by a creative directively. But yeah, so we're looking at, and I had actually pulled up some of it, Champ. I know you're a little late, right? Is that what's happening?
No, it's. I thought you were about to say something. So
it's a single story shaped by actor. I never knew how to pronounce this, so please forgive me. Wow. It's Abubakar Salim, own experience of grief, discovering how love gives us the courage to press on after devastating loss. I don't know how many more games I can deal with grief right now, but I'm really excited because this game looks beautiful, and the aesthetic is very, very intriguing, and they look like us, right? Like, well, not necessarily you're blossoming today, but. Wow. But they look like our melanated peers. Going, Sketch? What you got?
Can you not?
What you got over there? What's that?
One, the gameplay was up. Nobody knew until you said that.
It was.
This is not Club Shay Shay. Well, I'm not sitting here like publicly doing that on YouTube.
We won't find this on Netflix or Tubi. All right, cool. But anyways, the game is beautiful. It is.
It is. It gives me a big Ori and the Will of the Wisp vibes. Have you played either of those games?
I did not play them, but I do know the art style.
Yeah, they're also Metroidvania games just like this game, and they do have that like super like I don't want to call it like neon, but like super glowing aesthetic that this game also has, and the emphasis in those Ori games is platforming. And from what I've seen from this game, there's a lot of like emphasis on tight platforming as well as like super cool combat that's also reminiscent of that Prince of Persia game that's about to come out soon.
Yeah.
So
I mean it's quite a few Castlevanias that's been announced lately. I don't know. Is it Metroidvanias is rather Metroidvania games. I don't know what's going on, like a resurgence in that particular genre.
They're good. It's a good genre. And there's a lot of good ones that came out recently. I mean, Hollow Knight, the Metroid games that Nintendo.
Still waiting for Silksong.
I have. That game will come out when it comes out.
And then Worldless. I had told you about Worldless. I don't know if you got a chance to check that out.
I have not had a chance to check that out yet, but I have it on my wish list, waiting for it to go on sale. But anyway, like Tales of Kenzara, it's made by Surgeon Studios. It's their first game. It's published by EA Originals. That's been admittedly a little hit and miss with the games that they've been publishing. They've published It Takes Two, which won Game of the Year the year it came out, but it also published Immortals of Avium that came and went.
Yeah, that was a big budget flop.
Yeah, so it's.
I remember.
I do appreciate EA Originals because it's kind of forcing EA to take risk, something that Electronic Arts normally does not do. So I don't want
to.
Yeah, I don't want to harp on EA Originals failures per se, because I don't want to discourage them from taking the risk and putting the money into these like young new developers that are untested, that have these like super cool ideas. If we get 5 Immortals of Avium in order to get one It Takes Two, I'm cool with that.
They may have to lower the budget though, because that was a big budget flop. I'm sorry that it was a lot of budget behind Immortals, and it did not work.
Not a good business model.
So, but yes, I know we're getting ready to move on. I just wanted to highlight 2 other games. One of them, unfortunately, I do not remember the name of, but it was announced during Video Game Awards. It's featured a black sister with a big fro. And I believe this was almost like a point-click adventure kind of game, but they announced it during the pre-show. It wasn't during the actual show. So I unfortunately don't have the title with me right now, but there's another game with a black woman, South of Midnight. This is going to be an Xbox exclusive. Have you heard about this?
Yes. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yes. Action adventure from Compulsion Games. So it says explore the mythos and confront mysterious creatures of the deep south in this modern folktale while learning to weave an ancient power to surmount obstacles and face the pain haunting your hometown. So if it has anything to do with slavery, I have no idea, but it makes sense. That is the game, South of Midnight.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. I'm intrigued by the art style and the gameplay. I'm always interested in stuff that takes place in like that Louisiana setting. I think it's super cool.
You like the hoodoo?
I do like the hoodoo culture. I think out of all the regions in America, I do think it has a really unique aesthetic and look, and it has a really unique like history and background that I think a lot of games do really good in showcasing. There's a VR Walking Dead game that takes place in New Orleans, and I think that's another thing that the setting becomes one of the characters almost with how unique it looks and how much it offers, and like offers a new gameplay mechanics and stuff like that. So I always look forward to games that take place in Louisiana, and also I like the art style of this. It kind of has like a stop motion Tim Burton-y kind of look. Do you remember?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I haven't experienced too much of this particular game's info yet, because I didn't see this during the VGAs. So like it was just like some things I saw in passing, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta remember to bring this up. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you remember that. I can't believe this kind of slipped my mind. I think I didn't bring it up because there's no release date for it yet per se. So we don't really know if it's going to come out this year or not. Even though, so Xbox is about to have one of their developer spotlights, I think they're called, later on this month. And last year during the developer spotlight, that's when they
It's next week, actually.
Yes.
Isn't there one? Yeah, it's next week.
January 19th or 18th. I can't remember. But that is where they shadow dropped Hi0Fi Rush. So I'm wondering if they're going to continue that pattern and shadow drop something else. I highly doubt it's going to be South of Midnight, because
this seems like it's still in development. So hopefully,
very much so.
But it definitely seems like it's still in development. But
but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's made by Compulsion Games, which their last game, We Happy Few.
I've heard of this. Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah, I know about it.
Yeah. Kind of had that.
Yes. The concept of it was amazing. I don't think it like executed properly. Yeah. But I think they could definitely afford to play in that world some more for sure. Yeah.
It didn't light the world on fire, but I did like the drug kind of mechanic and how that influenced gameplay, and I did like the aesthetic. It really kind of had that Bioshocky kind of aesthetic.
Yeah, it was very Bioshock and creepy for sure. And specifically like the Colombian version. Forget the name of it. Infinite. Not to Underwater City.
Infinite.
Yeah, Infinite. There you go.
Any more surprises for me? Or are we ready to?
No, that's it. I was
Any more changes to the rundown you want to do live, or you?
I'm not gay no more.
I'm just...
I like.
You seen Deborah Wilson, and you was like, "That's it, hanging up the hat. That's the one."
All right.
So
I'll support that, right? Do you know she voices the Lich Queen in Destiny?
She does a lot. She does a lot of voice work.
She does every fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
Like she is paid. Mm-hmm. I hope she is anyway. I hope they're paying her accurately.
I'd imagine so.
But she does really good.
Mm-hmm.
She does really, really good work.
So we have our own list of top 5 games that we're looking forward to in 2024. So I figured we'd go tit for tat. I give my 5, you give your 5, I give my 4, blah, 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 blah. We go back and forth until we get to 1.
Okay.
So I'll start with my 5. And I hate that. So I do want to preface this. It seems like you just brought up that Xbox exclusive. And mine is a little Xbox heavy a little bit. And the only reason that mine is Xbox exclusive is because...
You see my Twitch? Yes, I did a real Twitch just now.
The only reason that mine is Xbox exclusive is because a lot of PlayStation's release calendar is still a little bit of a mystery. There are things that we kind of have a good idea.
This is true.
Yeah. There's some things that we have a good idea are going to come out later this year, but they don't have exact dates yet. Outside of like stuff that's coming out really soon, like Last of Us Remaster, but that's not going on the list. But
yeah.
I am fair and I am impartial. I have access to all the consoles and PC. I'm not like a super hardcore Xbox head. It's just that I know for sure these Xbox games are coming out this year. Prefacing that. Don't go crazy.
Maybe.
Number 5 is
Xbox has a tumultuous development cycle. Just say it. They do.
Number 5 is Avowed. Avowed.
I don't know about it. What is it?
So Avowed is the next action RPG made by Obsidian Games. So the ironic thing about it is Obsidian were kind of like a sub-team within Bethesda. They were responsible mainly for Fallout New Vegas. They left Bethesda, and
that was like the last decent one, right?
Yeah, people like 4, but yes, that was the last one that like really lit the world on fire.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So Obsidian left Bethesda, became their own studio, were purchased by Microsoft, and the last game they made were the Outer Worlds, which was pretty much a smaller version of Fallout New Vegas, a smaller, kind of more focused version, and I really loved that game. I've seen it through.
Yeah.
Very cool characters. Graphically very impressive. I really loved that game. So Avowed. So the reason I say this ironic is that they were purchased by Xbox, but Xbox now also purchased Bethesda. So now Obsidian is kind of back with Bethesda, even though they're technically not under Bethesda. So
they need therapy. I'm just thinking that's therapy right there.
Trying to get away from my ex, and
like, so sorry.
So anyway, Avowed. So as Outer Worlds is their kind of smaller take on Fallout New Vegas, Avowed to me seems like their smaller take on maybe a Elder Scrolls. So this is an action RPG, but instead of being set in a sci-fi futuristic world, this is set in a high fantasy medieval setting, where it's a first-person action RPG. You're playing as a customizable character, and you're wielding magic, you're wielding melee weapons, and you're fighting demons and elves and all different types of the typical medieval shit. But they showed their trailer off last summer, and Xbox is kind of like, I forget what they call their little summer showcase. And graphically, this game looks really good.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Pull it in. Are you not a fan of the Elder Scrolls?
Nah,
Really? I'm
I haven't
shocked.
been. No, so I mean, the closest you're going to get to it is the number 3 on my list.
I agree.
So
So yeah, I don't want to spoil that.
yeah,
We'll get to it when we get to
yeah,
it.
it's
So
number 3 on my list.
I have it up now. They do have some interesting enemy types here. They have like a bear that looks like he
You and
has.
these damn bears,
I
champ.
love, I love it.
It's
Well,
it
I'm.
just it's just
This ain't like no Bouldur's Gate bear. I'm not touching this
you
one.
know, in my community, we do have a reference for men called bears. I don't know if you knew that, but that's an actual thing.
Are there black bears? I don't. I
All you
thought that was like
do
a.
is just be hairy. That's it. Big and hairy.
I always
And
heard.
you're called a bear.
I always heard white gay people refer to people as bears. I didn't know that was like also a thing in like the black gay community.
Yeah, I mean, so we don't I will be clear, black community don't typically use all these terms, but it's universal for sure. It's not exclusive. Twink is probably the only one that we call exclusive. We don't really use that word. But yeah.
But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. I haven't really gotten to a game like this since Skyrim, so I'm hoping that akin to how Outer Worlds was a little smaller, a little more focused. I'm hoping this one is also a smaller, more focused version of Skyrim. Hopefully, that y'all can kind of get into, kind of see everything in 20, 30 hours and kind of be done with it. And yeah.
That's the compromise of a good game when you're an adult. It's so sad.
It
Like,
is. It is. I am a father of two. I do not have 100 hours to put into games anymore. I want to get
unless it's WWE.
Unless it's WWE. Well, WWE, like, the matches are like 5. I can get in there and 15-minute kind of sessions and have a good time. I don't have time to like be in an RPG world. But yeah.
So my number 5, and this is really just more so because of I'm thinking about like my gaming journey. So I started out with Sega Genesis and the regular Nintendo. Those were consoles that my mother had bought, and I had games for that. But I want to say that I didn't really experience gaming until I got my first PlayStation. And my PlayStation, the very first game that I got for that was Tomb Raider 1. And so I really consider that like it's truly like the origin, even though I definitely gamed before that, of my gaming journey. And Tomb Raider 1 through 3 is being remastered. This is not a remake. They're not doing anything super fancy with it. It is just the original games remastered with updated graphics, better lighting. And I believe better voice acting too, because Lord knows it needed that. And some slightly better animations, just make things a little bit smoother. So it's coming out, and I think it's coming out. I don't remember exactly when. It's either in January or February. I can't remember the exact date. Let me see. Did I mention it? I think I did. Yeah, it's coming out February 14th, Valentine's Day. So yeah, I'm just excited to just add that to my collection. I can't say I'm going to be playing it like immediately, but it's definitely something that I'll just want to, turn on every once in a while, just to have some of that nostalgia going on. So yeah, Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered.
I'm curious how much that game will hold up, because I remember playing the original games, and for their time, really good, very fun. They definitely created the kind of tomb raiding subgenre that games like Uncharted would not exist if it wasn't for a game like Tomb Raider. But if they're just going to take those old games and port them with a graphic polish, I'm curious how it's going to live up to.
I mean, fair question, but I think at the end of the day, it's just a platformer. And platforming games, they don't really need a lot. They hold up as long as like my jump button works, and and when I push X to hold on to the legs, kind of thing. And in addition, can't remember. Geez, I just had it. Oh, TRLE. You know about that?
No.
What is it? Tomb Raider level editor. There's a
Oh.
huge community that has surrounded these games since like time immemorial. Just making their own levels, making their own Tomb Raider games based off of the old school graphics. And then they even started to do it with the Legend and Anniversary series graphics as well. They are not touching the new lore at all. But TRLE, I think what these games will do or provide is just give that community even more assets to create their own video games. And that community is booming, very, very successful. And they love what they love. I don't think it's, going to shake the ground for anybody, but it's just one of those things that people that played those old school games just have something a little bit new or refined to go back to. And hopefully a little less bugs, because the old games had bugs. So
the old games did have bugs.
Yeah.
And old games. So this is coming out on, it's not really a next gen game, right? I think it's coming on Switch, PS4, and
yeah, I think it's going to be on everything. So just download it. I think it's like going to be, hopefully it's between $15 and $20, hopefully, and then move on. But yeah, hopefully no more than 30.
Wow. I am looking forward to it. I understand. My number 4 is also, well, no, that was your number 5. My 4 is also a remake. It's Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
Well, this is a remake.
This isn't exclusive to Xbox, is it? Or
no. I think it's the opposite. I think it's exclusive to PS5.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think this is coming out on Xbox. I have to double check that.
I'm very interested. But go ahead. I know this is your game, but
no, yeah, I am interested about it. But so I played this originally when it first came out, and this was
never played a Silent Hill. Never.
Really?
I'm super into it lore-wise, but I never played it.
Yeah, so you can, lore-wise and gameplay-wise, you can skip one. So it makes perfect sense why Konami is starting.
I'm sorry, I played a PSP one. Terrible. But
oh,
it was
you
like
should not have.
Down. Yeah, that was the only one I played.
I can't remember what it's called. That one did suck. Yeah. So Silent Hill as a franchise, very troubled franchise. Very hit and miss regarding like which ones are really good. Silent Hill 2, really, outside of Resident Evil, this was the horror game. Like the horror game. Yeah. Like Silent Hill 2 was so good. Its atmosphere, it's really weird kind of like way of storytelling. The story in and of itself, the enemy design. This is the one where Pyramid Head comes out.
I thought Pyramid showed up in 3.
No, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I
don't. I think 2 is.
You know what?
One.
I think it is 2 because I know who Pyramid is conceptually. So yeah, I think it is 2.
So 2 is the one.
It's 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically the story is you're this father and the daughter goes missing. No, I'm sorry. His wife goes missing in the town, and you have to go into the town of Silent Hill and kind of look for her. And in the midst of it, you're kind of bumping into all this like weird shit that's going down. And aesthetically, at the time, I have not seen anything like this before.
Yeah. You're walking through sperm-colored backgrounds. You can only see the road.
So, in hindsight, the game, very heavy fog in Silent Hill 2. Now, little young me didn't understand that they were leaning on fog a lot because the PS2 couldn't process big environments, so they were using fog to hide the fact that they were rendering kind of like backgrounds and new environmental assets at the time. But the game really looked cool. I do like with the direction that the remake is going. And also, it's fair. We need to kind of like bring this up. Like, Konami has been silent for a very long time. This is going to be like.
That's my scare, because Konami has not been good, and so that is the only thing I'm hesitant about with this game. They have not been good.
I think maybe the last Konami published game would maybe have been like Metal Gear Survive, which
I was
sucked.
about to say, wasn't that the Survive thing when they
Sucked, yeah.
added zombies to Metal Gear? It was
Yeah.
so crazy.
So
A
yeah,
big F you to Hideo Kojima.
yeah.
Just a big.
So yeah, I'm very curious about their jump back into it. So they're only publishing the Silent Hill 2 remake. This is going to be developed by Bloober Team, which also has been hit or miss. They created the Layers of Fear games, which I do enjoy. They also made a Blair Witch game that I did not enjoy. But
I don't know any of this. This is crazy. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm not familiar with this team. Um,
mm-hmm,
but what is triggering me in my mind
mm-hmm,
has nothing to do with Konami.
mm-hmm,
Just a sad little tidbit about me.
mm-hmm.
My mother, of course, was buying my games when I was younger, and so I wanted games like Silent Hill, but my mom didn't know what to buy at the store. So if you tell her something, she'd be like, here's this kind of thing. So I was telling her it was a scary game, and like you walk around, you're a man, and blah blah blah. You know what my mother brought back home?
What?
Ash of the Evil Dead. I had Ash of the Evil Dead. I was playing that with a chainsaw and everything. Fighting dead mice. Now it's a good game. It was a good PlayStation 1 classic, I can't lie, but it was not solid.
I thought you was gonna say like Quiet Mountain or something
No,
like
I was,
that.
I was just like, Mom, yeah, she was just like, yeah, here, it's scary. They say it's scary game. And she was like, I know this franchise. We watched the movies together. You know, you watch the movies together. I was like, all right, bye. Cool. So my number four
Yeah.
is going to be a game that has been in development for eons at
Mm-hmm.
this point. I'm talking about Lost Soul Aside. So this is a game. It has a storied history of being developed by one person
Hmm.
at first. It was
Mm-hmm.
literally developed by one guy in Asia, and he was heavily inspired by the art style of Final Fantasy 15,
Mm-hmm.
which has his own storied history as far as like in trading different creative directors.
Mm-hmm.
But he was heavily inspired by the very first version of Final Fantasy 15. He started developing his own world and playing it. He wants it to be a character action game similar to like the Devil May Cry or Bayonetta's. But it was like a fantasy almost based in reality kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The game got so much hype just from the clips and things that he was showing online that Square Enix reached out in order to bring him in and then give him a team in order to bring this game to light. And it has been in development for a long time. They keep every few years showing some gameplay clips of it. And I've had shared the latest version of it. It looks really good. I mean, the world, I'm not going to lie, kind of looks a little empty, but if you're just taking it as a combat experience, it looks amazing. And I'm excited to finally get my hands on it because either way, I think even if it is a bad game, it'll just kind of be like closing out a chapter of something that just has so much fan support for so long. Like people want to see this come to light at this point. And you know, just kind of rooting for it to be this amazing game that it looks to be. And like I said, it started off being developed by one guy by himself in his mom's basement or something. I'm adding that part.
Alone.
But yeah,
No
hello.
friends. No family.
Yeah, it was. But when you look at the old gameplay, it's not, besides like the graphic refinements,
Mm-hmm.
the gameplay is still based off of the things that he did by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it is insane the level of work that he did as a solo individual. And I'm hoping that no matter what, there can just be lessons learned and shared along other creative directors and visionaries on how to bring something like this to light, even when you don't have a huge team behind it.
Yeah, so I when you put this down in a rundown, I was like, what is this? But as soon as I pulled up the gameplay and I looked at it, I do remember seeing
Hmm.
those early tech demos that
Yeah.
that he dropped where like the combat, everybody was like, the combat looks crazy. Like it looks super sick. And I do like that it carried over in what looks like he's very close to the final product.
Yeah, it looks like it's getting close. And whenever I look it up, they're saying now it's always had release windows, but the
Mhm.
current release window is 2024 now. So,
So to address because I did notice almost as you were bringing it up, that the worlds did look a little empty.
Yeah.
Now I don't technically mind that, because from the outside looking in, again, I haven't had my hands on the game yet, but it kind of gave me Shadow of Colossus vibes, in the sense of the structure of the game, where a lot of the game is that traversal to the next big fight, but the big fights were gigantic.
Okay.
But
all right.
if that is what they're going for, like, I'm okay with the combat.
I'm not sure, because it seems like it's like smaller rooms and bigger rooms kind of thing. And I mean, I'm okay with a gauntlet if the combat feels as amazing as it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, this kind of looks like they're going for like this boss rush feel. Kind of like
Bloody Palace, like a game that's strictly Bloody Palace from Devil May Cry. That's what it seems like it is. And I can be okay with that.
Yeah. Again, like a lot of my like favorite undersung games are like that. Like there's an indie game called Fury, where it's just literally just.
I played it. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah.
So yeah, if that's the direction they're going,
frustrating as hell.
Yeah. And that game's hard as hell.
And wasn't that a black lead too? Yeah.
Yeah, so 100%. This looks good. I could definitely see the Square Enix touch on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lost Soul aside, looking forward to it. Hope it come out this year.
You know. I hope it comes out when it's ready at this point.
For sure. No rush.
At this point.
A delayed game is eventually a good game. I don't know who the hell said that.
I don't know about that.
Wow.
But I don't know about that. We had this talk. This is, remember the controversial podcast episode. We talked about that. It's like, theoretically, that should be the case. However, that is not always the case. Maybe it needs to be delayed more. But
so,
you know what was delayed?
But
the day before.
Well, yeah, okay.
It was delayed a lot.
You and me, we called that one out. Like, we tried to warn people. That thing was sketched from the jump. It depends on why it's delayed, like the why. If you want to delay something, like, okay, we just want to put a little bit of polish on it. But if you want to delay something because, like,
because we got a court case to...
You know what I'm saying? Like, the writing was on the wall with that one. But I feel like I am the one that's always bringing up the controversial stuff when it comes to these lists. Like,
well, why do you do it?
Because I like to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
I
don't have faith in humanity. I don't.
The glass is half full for me. I do think Suicide Squad's going to pull.
The glass is filled with piss for me. This is even edible anymore.
So for my next game is a Ubisoft game, which is why I kind of preface it with that. It's Star Wars Outlaws. We talked about this briefly the last time he was on. It's a Star Wars game coming out. It's supposed to be like not just open world. It's supposed to be open galaxy. Like, you're supposed to be able to go from planet to planet. You hop in your ship, go to another planet.
So Beyond Good and Evil 2?
Where'd you bring that up? Because that's also a Ubisoft game. Maybe they just stopped making that and just started making Star Wars Outlaws. But yeah, so totally new protagonist, totally new story, totally original story. And the gameplay gives me like very big Uncharted vibes in regards to how the combat goes and how the arenas are set up and the weapons and the melee options that are open to you. And I like that. Like, I miss the Uncharted franchise.
I believed you when you said it. I like it. Okay. Right.
I want to punch people. Like, okay, so the one thing.
You can still play the multiplayer, man. It's good. Did you even play the multiplayer?
I did when it was hot, when it was the thing. But so the thing that I like so much about Uncharted is it nails that feel that fights aren't choreographed. Fights aren't perfect. Everybody doesn't throw the perfect punch every time. Everybody doesn't like know taekwondo or karate. Like Nathan Drake, just like Indiana Jones, is just some dude that needs to do what he needs to do to get out of the situation. And I do like how the combat feels so guttural and so real in that sense.
Okay.
And I see that in what Star Wars Outlaws is doing.
All right. Did you feel that way in The Last of Us?
Uh kinda. Kinda. It's so Last of Us does have like that real earthy, kind of like weighty combat, but I don't know if I want to say that.
You know what? I need to send you some clips of like the people who break the games in combat. It is insane the things that these people are doing.
Yeah, like I've seen people like have some crazy
executioner style, like it's crazy. Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, you actually need to be put on the watch list.
Especially in Last of Us 2. Like Last of Us 2, I've seen some people do some crazy ass runs in that. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But like I really do like games that nail that kind of combat where everybody's not really good at fighting, and I think you have that here. The shooting looks good, the traversal looks good, the worlds that I've seen look very diverse and different from one another. I'm curious again because I know you don't see the gameplay yourself right now, but the thing that Ubisoft open world games get so much flack for, even to this day, even with the Avatar game, even with all the latest Far Cries and Watch Dogs, is that it just feels like you have a laundry list of stuff to do. It doesn't feel like you're kind of living in this world. It just feels like you just are checking blocks. It feels like you're just looking at this map full of freaking icons. And
collectibles.
Yes, exactly. And that's one question mark that's still there with Star Wars Outlaws. They didn't really, in Ubisoft's last presentation where they showed like 30 minutes of gameplay, they didn't really kind of.
But is that even a big critique for them? Like, I know it's one of your critiques, but is the fan base talking about it?
I mean, I guess the Far Cry games still sell well, so I guess not. I guess a lot of people do like that Far Cry loop, but I don't feel like I'm alone on that. So if that
I don't think you are. I'm just curious if the community is loud. If the community is not loud, then
I mean, they made 6 Far Cries, so it's not, it can't be that bad. But if you are like me, and that's something that has like is a hang up for you for Ubisoft games, I cannot confirm or deny that will not still be a problem with Outlaws. But everything else looks really good and promising.
Okay. Well, my game, number 3 on my list, when we were talking about the elks and dragons and orcs and all that stuff, is Dragon's Dogma 2. Funny story with this one. For Dragon's Dogma 1, I played the demo that was on PS3. That demo blew me away. Like, you could climb up on like a dragon's neck and like just start hacking at it, and I was like, oh my god. Like, I can't believe this. And like a hydra and all that stuff, it was crazy. And the combat feels really, really great, and so I wound up buying the game. And I did not know, and see, back then I was very new to different kinds of JRPGs. Here you go drinking that scotch again. I'm gonna call him out every time you do it. But yeah, alcoholic, yeah, alky. And so I was new to those kinds of games. Like, I'm used to more guided experiences. I'm very, very used to like the story telling me what is going on. But Dragon's Dogma is more in the realm of like the Elder Scrolls kind of way of storytelling. You have free reign. They give you a huge world, and you have to like manage your inventory and things like that, and your weight on your character. I was not used to that, and I can say I'm also not the biggest fan of it. However, Dragon's Dogma is something beautiful of a game still to this day. And the combat options that you get in it were insane, so much so that it makes me want to learn it. And so Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming. I did not invest all the time that I wanted to in Dragon's Dogma 1 because it's had a gripe that Dragon's Dogma 2 still doesn't fix for me. I feel as if the crux of the game deserves a multiplayer component, right? Like the entire point of the game, for those who don't know, is that you build up a companion and then you also like hire other companions. So it's like you and a team of 3 other NPCs that can share your same class or have their own classes. And it just seems like a game, especially with the scale of the fights that you're into, that deserves a multiplayer component. And then the stinger is that in Japan, they did have an MMO version of this game. But Dragon's Dogma 2 is still single player only. However, they are introducing even new vocations. That's what they call the classes in this game. And one of them is really interesting, champ. And I love that Capcom is experimenting the same way that he did with Devil May Cry 5 when it comes to V. So what they did in this game is they created a new class called the Trickster. And so this guy, he fights with like I forget what it's called, but it's almost like a flail with smoke on it. It's like incense burning. And what he does is that he doesn't do like any direct damage on his own. But when he is swinging this thing, he's building up aggro, and then he can like summon a spectral version of himself that will trick enemies into thinking it's him. And then you control this spectral version in different ways, whether you can create fake platforms or fake ledges in order to trick enemies to just run off the cliff in front of you, kind of thing. And so it is completely different. No other action character game is doing things like this. And I'm excited to experiment with these different classes. One of my favorites in part 1 was a Mystic Archer. And so yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2 is going to be an amazing game. The first one was amazing, but hugely underrated. But I think this time it's getting a bigger audience, and it deserves. It definitely deserves.
Yeah,
and hopefully one day we can get a damn multiplayer version.
I can't remember if Dragon's Dogma, the first one, got overshadowed by something else, but I do remember.
I don't think it had a good release. Yeah, I don't recall. I don't remember good marketing, and I don't remember if the release window was good. I don't remember, but I do know for a fact it didn't have good marketing. I found that thing by incident on PlayStation Store when I downloaded the demo, and I told a few friends, but social media wasn't even that popping during that time. So yeah.
Yeah, one of our mutual friends, King Godimus, that's like one of his favorite games of all time. Like he loves.
Oh wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah, he loves Dragon Dogma. He swore by that. He's actually the person who convinced me to give it a try, and that's
okay.
Yeah, I love the Dragon's Dogma.
It's an amazing game. Yeah.
So
and then it had a Dark Arisen patch DLC. It's real good. I think you can still play it now.
Yeah,
if you have like PlayStation Plus or something. Yeah.
I was thinking about getting it again, like on the Steam Deck, because it's on sale on Steam for like $5. And
I don't know why, because that game has hundreds of hours for you to engage in. So don't buy it. Don't, because you're not going to play it. You're not.
I'm not.
Let's be real.
Why does Steam do that to me? Steam always does that with like, oh, this cool game is like $2. I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. I'm just never gonna play it. I just bought it because it was $2.
It is hundreds of hours on that game for sure.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I seen you put it on your list, and then I figured like, all right, I'm gonna talk about something else. But yeah,
that's not what happened, because your list was complete when I did my list.
No,
I recall.
I think I assumed you were going to talk about it.
Okay.
But I do, though. I was thinking like Duke's probably going to bring this up because it did seem like something that was up your alley. But yeah, I too.
What does that mean? I'm slightly offended.
You like action RPGs and high fantasy. That seems like it.
Fine. I know what that means.
Dragon's Dogma 2, March 22nd on the next gen consoles, on PS5.
Hallelujah.
X and S. Yeah, I'm glad. Let's touch on that briefly. I am very glad that we're starting to get into this phase where we are no longer. No offense to the people that don't have next. We preface that. No offense to the people that don't have next gen consoles, but I am so glad that now, like 3-4 years into this generation, we're finally getting to the stage where we're seeing games built to the full potential of these machines.
Am I the only one who feels like this is getting ready to be a very short cycle, though?
I don't know. I think I know we're definitely about to get the mid-gen refreshes. We're about to see the I don't know
the
what
pros.
Yeah, the pros and the Series Ys. I don't know what the Xbox is going to do over
fucking there. Company.
I don't know what they're doing over there.
Company.
The Super Nintendo Switches, but I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see traditional generation splits like we used to. I think we're going to I think if I had to guess based on industry trends, I think the game industry is going to kind of do what the cell phone industry is doing, where like the new iPhone comes out, but you can still run the same apps that are on the 15, 14, 13, and the 15, 14, and 13 can still, for the most part, run apps that are being released for the 16 and the 17.
I don't know.
But
future episode, because I'm real curious to talk about how this industry is making the most money out of all media, and yet it's doing layoffs.
Well, that's just
across the board.
That's corporate greed. That's a whole. That's for a whole different podcast.
It's just interesting. It's just really interesting. Like, it literally makes the most money out of all media.
That's just
combined.
That's a problem with corporate morality. I don't think that's
not individual. Combined.
Yeah.
Somebody
just revealed Twitch.
It was Twitch. They released 500.
Yeah. Oof.
And now Kick is talking about buying them.
Kick is trying to buy Twitch?
The co-founder of Kick was talking about it on Twitch.
Does it have that kind of money?
On X.
Because Twitch is owned by...
I don't know. They've been giving away, millions of dollars to races. So, I mean, they got something.
Twitch is owned by Amazon. So, like, their pockets aren't light.
Amazon may want to kick it. I don't know.
That is true.
I mean, because Amazon Game Studios has done what?
Oof.
So, and Amazon has also been falling out too, just as general, because its products are kind of whack now. But
yeah.
Got the brand.
So, my next game is I don't like how remake heavy my list is, because I'm not really.
You be shitting on the remakes when it's time for the rundowns and the the reviews of the year.
Remakes have their place. Like, there's a lot of hardcore experienced gamers that have played these games in the past and see them being remade, and they're like, I don't want to play this again. But what about for the babies like me? What about little me that has not played Persona 3 when it first came out on the PSP? You know what I'm saying?
To be fair, this is a special remake though. Yeah. Because it is like it's very involved. It's not a one-to-one thing.
It looks
There's
gorgeous.
Multiple versions that's being combined to make like the super ultra version of it. Yeah.
So anybody who knows me or anybody who has watched this show before knows that one of my favorite games of all time is Persona 5 Royal. And so it took a while for Atlas to find Persona 5's kind of aesthetic. Like, Persona 3 came out, Persona 4, and they were kind of like building up to what eventually became Persona 5's kind of style that it's known for. And now it looks like it's going back and remaking those games in the kind of the kin that Persona 5 is. And that's what Persona 3 Reloaded is. So Persona 3 looks like it's going to get the music stylings, the UI, the kind of gameplay mechanics, the structure of Persona 5, but just with that story and the characters that I've never experienced. So
you need it.
I need it. So I played Persona 5 twice, and that is a 100-hour RPG. As somebody who just complained about not having that kind of time.
Yeah, you inconsistent. You inconsistent.
I
You
will,
unnatural.
I will totally ignore my fatherly duties when it comes when it comes to something that deserves it. And Persona 5 really is that, and I'm very curious about the games that led up to it. I've played a little bit of Persona 4 because they made it available on Game Pass. So I went back and played a little bit of the old school one. So the Persona 4 that's available on Game Pass is really just the PSP version that they kind of ported and kind of shined up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see the DNA that eventually becomes Persona 5 in that, but there is parts where it's kind of like still rough around the edges. You can kind of tell Atlas was still learning sort of what they wanted to do, where they wanted to go, and the direction they wanted to go in.
5 games in, damn. All right.
Well, I mean,
if at first you don't succeed,
when you're doing stuff innovative, you got to take some risk, and sometimes you don't always get it right. So I understand that. So if I do want to jump into that Persona 3 world, I do want to see it in a fully realized, super polished, super crazy aesthetic kind of version, and this is that. So if you like JRPGs, if you like Persona 5 specifically and you've never played Persona 3, or if you played Persona 3 before and you want to experience again, this is what you're looking for. Persona 3 Reloaded comes out February 2nd. Day and date on Game Pass, but it will also be on the PS5 and PC.
My next game is something that has also been in development for eons. This is the year of payoffs. So I'm talking about a game that's coming out on February 1st, and the game is Granblue Fantasy Relink. This game is a JRPG that has been, I can't even remember when it was first announced, but I do remember that the first studio that they called upon to start working on it was actually Platinum Games. Platinum started working on it, and eventually developers and the owners of the IP was just like, we can do this better ourselves. And it was like, goodbye, Platinum. And then they started working on it on their own. Now, I got to be clear that the Granblue Fantasy IP, it is a huge global phenomenon, particularly overseas. And it is just starting to really make its way over here into the West. They one of the first things that they really introduced, you can still play it on mobile games right now, but one of the first things they introduced to the larger audience was Granblue Fantasy Versus, which is a fighting game that they did. And then that just got a remaster, if you will, called Rising, that added better net play. So that's the thing. But anyways, this IP is interesting. It's new to me. I don't really know too much about it, but everything that I happen to glean from it seems pretty interesting. You fight angels and demons. I grew up watching the show Supernatural back when it was good. And so there's some things in there that, lore-wise is like you're fighting like, Lilith and other things or whatever else. I'm interested to see just how it all plays out. It has diversity of, if you're into the LGBTQ, it has all that going on, and the characters don't seem token. It doesn't seem like they made somebody trans in order to like hit a goal kind of thing. It's just like, this is who they are, part of the lore thing. But anyways, I'm interested to see how it goes. And the combat, once again, looks amazing. And this is multiplayer. So you'll unlock the characters. You can go into, after you do the story campaign together, there's also like these missions that you can just do online with friends. It's almost like a Monster Hunter kind of add-on that you can just keep playing on over and over, and then switching your characters and building them up. I'm just interested to see how it goes. I already locked in a good friend that we're just going to dive in that together and finally experience this game that we've been marketed to for over 6 years. I don't remember exactly how long, but I know it's been over 6 years since that game was announced.
Damn, we're both going to be knee deep in JRPGs in February.
Indeed. Especially when we get to my number one.
Yeah, so I am interested. I've always heard the word Granblue. Like, people have been talking about this franchise like for a very long time. I've never experienced one of them. So
yeah, I haven't, because it was a gacha game on mobile, and I had the same introduction to gacha as many people did with Genshin. So, but yeah.
So yeah, Granblue Fantasy Relink comes out February 1st. So my number one, the game that I am looking forward to the most, is the second Xbox exclusive that I'm going to talk about today. It is Senua Saga Hellblade 2. This is the sequel to Hellblade, Senua's Wrath. Have you played it before, Duke?
I did not play Hellblade. I know about it, but I didn't play it. I played Heavenly Sword. That's what I did.
So
I know it's completely different.
No,
it's completely different. It's complete.
Not necessarily. I mean, it is like the emphasis of Hellblade 1, at least. I can't speak to Hellblade 2 necessarily, but Hellblade is not emphasis on the action side of it, is more so on the exploration and the puzzle solving and stuff like that. But the combat is really good when it happens. It has that weight that I was talking about before. So one of the reasons that the first Hellblade really made waves in the game industry is when you first start the game, you're met with this message that says that you can only die a certain amount of times before you have to start the game over. So this message basically says like there is permadeath in the game. You can't turn it off. And if you make it to a certain point, you have to start the game all the way over again. So come to find out, developers revealed a couple of weeks after the game came out that actually is a lie. And that they wanted you to feel the same anxiety that the main character Senua feels. Because the main theme of Hellblade is that Senua has a lot of these kind of like mental...
She's schizophrenic, right?
Yeah, she's schizophrenic. Yeah. She has extreme anxiety. She's dealing with the death of like a close loved one. And she's kind of having these visions and she's seeing these things and she can't parse what is reality and what are these like schizophrenic episodes that she's going through. So in order to replicate that anxiety that she's going through, the developers wanted the player to have that as well. But even
reasonable,
yeah,
even though it's a
little cheap, a little cheap,
seems reasonable.
But I was
for a good cause.
Yeah, I did appreciate that. I was one of the ones I was able to play, without knowing the truth, and that did kind of like change my views and change the way I
interacted with the world.
Yeah,
just run up to random people and it's just like, no.
You'll play a game completely different if you know that you got to go back and play 8 hours of the game over again. So
yeah, except you didn't do that in Diablo 4. You didn't do that at all.
That's because that's completely different. Diablo 4,
you didn't do that.
You dragged me into that fight while I was like a little baby level 10. So I'm like, here's my 2 damage. I'm going to contribute to this before I have to respawn.
I wanted you to experience what the game could offer.
But yeah, so the first Hellblade really did a good job of... It's not the first game that's kind of dealt with these kind of like mental states, right? But I do love the way that game tackled it. I loved its interpretation and the way it kind of like implemented its puzzles and its world building. And like I insinuated before, the combat, even though it happens pretty sparsely, all the fights feel important. Now, I don't know if that is because I thought I was risking my literal life or not. So I'm interested to see how this is going to feel in Senua's Wrath 2. But Hellblade 2, another reason why my eye is on it is because graphically, this is one of the games that Xbox showed off 3 to 4 years ago, like when the Xbox Series X, when we first entered this generation of gaming. And when we seen that first trailer, everybody was like, this game looks freaking unreal.
Didn't they change the name? It's not Sacrifice anymore, right?
It's Senua's Saga.
It's Saga. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, so this was one of the first games where I seen it and I was like, okay, we're about to be in the next gen. We're about to see this thing, and of course, like since then we've seen.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean we've seen some games in between seeing that trailer
Mm-hmm.
and now we've seen some games that kind of we've seen it, but I still am intrigued by the art style and the graphic fidelity of this game, like especially the facial animations here. Like some of the facial animations look like a real person.
Okay. I'm just gonna say one as a person that doesn't own the Xbox, I'll just have to watch this on YouTube. And the music at the Video Game Awards did not sell me. That's all I have to say. It did not sell me.
You're not a big Norse. You like God of War.
I do, but
it's Norse mythology.
That didn't work for me there. And particularly, that felt more Viking than Norse, to be clear. But yeah. But I will say that I don't recall everything because I watched like very small tidbits of Hellblade. I was kind of just mad. I'm not going to lie. I've been jealous. I've been jealous about Xbox acquiring Ninja Theory. I'm not going to lie because I feel like Ninja Theory has really great potential in the things that they do. I don't think anything they've done has been like a hit it out the ballpark kind of game. But everything they've done has been an exceptional experience still. So Heavenly Sword has some jank, but it was still special. And then the next game they did was Enslaved. Has some jank, but still special kind of thing. And I wanted to still be in those worlds. I wanted direct sequels to them. And so for Xbox to get Ninja Theory and then do Hellblade, and then it also gets a direct sequel. I'm like, I'm mad.
It's funny you bring up Heavenly Sword because Heavenly Sword was one of those games where it was a PS3 launch title, but the one thing that was really impressive about Heavenly Sword was the facial expressions, especially of the villain, like that main villain.
Yeah, and the storytelling. I think I was blown away by that experience. I can't remember the exact line right now, but it felt like I was watching an epic, like I went to an opera house or something, like the way that they was delivering these lines along with the voice acting and things. And one of the lines was like that I keep with me. It's a villain ass line. It was like I've learned it's a villain ass line. Paraphrasing, but he was like, I've learned that everything comes to he who waits, but quicker yet to he who takes. And the villain said that like to one of the protagonists, and it was the protagonist was like, be chill, calm, cool. He was like, nah, I'm good. I'm taking everything. King Bohar was that dude. Yeah.
So go ahead and regale us with your number one, which is mostly everybody.
Everyone knows what number one is. I'm gonna just open it like this. I'm ready to be traumatized, champ. I am ready to cry, boo, boo. This game, I'm ready to be blown away with how beautiful it is, and I'm ready to have the anxiety that you felt playing Hellblade. I'm ready to feel this anxiety running with this cast of characters. It is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the sequel to Remake, which we now know was not a remake of Final Fantasy VII. It was a sequel of sorts. So we're going through with this new timeline, if you will, and seeing what occurs to these characters. They already tease a particular scene, and a whole audience was just like, you can't do that. You can't tease that scene. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that to us? But did you play? You didn't. I asked you to do it during the break, and I didn't check in with you. Did you finish Final Fantasy VII Remake?
No. So what I'm doing now?
It's so good, Chad.
I was about to start it. So Alan Wake 2, just not to get you off track, but Alan Wake 2 released a New Game Plus, and apparently you have to beat the New Game Plus to get the true ending of Alan Wake 2. So that's what I'm doing now. But the second I'm done that, I am going to try my damnedest to speed run Final Fantasy VII Intergrade so I can be ready for Rebirth.
The way that they did these characters justice. I think the gameplay is phenomenal. I want to be clear there, and then they're adding new gameplay upgrades and a new one and everything else. But I think the reason why you play Remake is to see how these characters learn, grow, and interact with each other, and it is so special. Like actual charm. There's actual charm here, and it reminds me of part of the reason why sometimes I debate on whether or not I like Square Enix as far as their RPGs is because the Tales of series does the party system great, right? Like far as actually learning about the characters, who they are as individuals, what they like and dislike. You get so much information about Tales of characters. And Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth is, I think, one of the exceptional times that Square really gives you everything you want from these characters, besides your crazy people that need help. But he gives you everything you want from these characters. And yeah, I just can't wait to just dive deeper in the lore. They're, mixing things up. They're playing with like some, perceptions of people who played the original. And I won't lie, the very first time I played the remake, I had got upset towards the end because I was like, why is this not a remake, essentially? And I had to take a step back to really analyze what they were doing. And I grew to appreciate what they were doing because it made me more excited to see the rest of the games. Like the fact that we knew from the beginning that it was going to be split up. I don't know if I would have had the same amount of excitement if it was a one-to-one remake and I was just waiting for the next part of the original game. But this is something special, man. I don't know how else to put it. Sephiroth is an asshole. And God bless the music that they add to these games. The music in these Final Fantasy VII World games, man, it's gonna be so good. I'm so ready to be traumatized. I'm calling out of work. I have to.
For a month?
I'm not saying I'm going to beat the game. No, I'm not saying I'm going to beat the game and they call out, but I got to take at least like 2-3 days off. I know for sure I got to, because like I'm not going to be mentally prepared to have any conversations that doesn't have to do with this party. I'm so serious.
So you make a good point about how they changed up stuff. Like this is not a direct one-to-one remake. And I think that's really the direction that remakes should go from here forward. Like Resident Evil 4 remake is a good example, like how they kind of lull you into a false sense of security thinking that it's a one-to-one remake, and they do this kind of thing every now and again that subverts your expectations and makes you realize like, no, this is kind of a new game. And I really do appreciate that Final Fantasy VII is doing that, along with a few titles that are doing it the truly the right way.
I guess. I mean, sometimes what I want to make space for, because I have one friend, he was so emotionally distraught when he played through Final Fantasy VII Remake and realized it wasn't a remake. Because I mean, they teased for so long. I think it has to do just with expectation as well. Like they had teased for so long with that PS3 demo way back in the day, tech demo, and people have been asking and asking and asking. So I think there's going to be an audience who wants one-to-one remakes. I do think you shouldn't lie to that audience. Like I do think you should not lie to that audience. So I'm sad that Square did that in this case. So I don't know. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I just think that if they are going to do that, then it has to be forthcoming that there's changes that are happening. And Square did it very, very slyly with a particular trailer that they did. I can't remember when this trailer released, but there was a voiceover. It was a guy who plays in Naruto, one of the sages, I forget, the voice actor who plays a sage in Naruto. He said one line, it was like, this will be a unique story or something like that. And that was like the only hint that people had at that time that it wasn't a one-to-one remake.
So with me, I have a hard time having sympathy for people that like are upset that Final Fantasy VII Remake is on a one-to-one remake, because the fact that Final Fantasy VII, the original Final Fantasy VII, is so readily accessible. Like you could buy that.
People want updated graphics and things like that. I mean, if you try to tell me that I can't have a 1-to-1 remake of Xenogears, including that scene at the end with with the I don't know, text boxes and everything. I want my damn 1-to-1 remake, damn it. Preferably without the text box. But I want my 1-to-1 remake. Good graphics. Please. I deserve. And I feel like that community was the community that asked and clamored for it. I wasn't part of the original. This is why I have the sympathy. I didn't play Final Fantasy VII back when it first came out. I played it much, much later than everyone else. And so I'm like, if that community is the one who fought for me to even have the experience that I'm getting with Remake, I think they should have it. That's just where I'm at. They want that experience. Why can't they have it?
Well, y'all can decide for yourself when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out February 29th.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? You're not going to be done. You're not going to be done with Granblue by the time. Like, what are you going to do?
Well, the thing is, with Granblue, I plan to be very slow with that one. I just want to like take my time with that. I'm not trying to hop through that one. And to be real, I got to do my battle passes and the finals and Overwatch. It's a the terrible time for things. Side note, I have somehow climbed out of Silver 5 in Overwatch support. I am now at Silver 2. It took so long. So holler at me. I know what I'm doing. I'm climbing.
So yeah, y'all, that's the show. Let us know if there's any games y'all looking forward in 2024 that we might have skipped or you might be looking for that we didn't mention. Put them in the comment section or shoot us an email, questions at realgameclique.com, and let us know what you was looking forward to. We'll bring it up on the next episode in our comment section, baby.
Yeah. And if you don't follow us, you have an unnatural allegiance to losers, and that's not like you.
You need to fix it by finding us on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, or on TikTok at Real Game Clique on any of those social media platforms. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, whatever contextual button there is on that platform, hit that thing. And that's a good way to keep in contact with us. We're checking that thing personally. We're going to fix that eventually and hire somebody to check it for us. But right now, that is a direct way to contact us. So feel free to hit us up that way. But definitely sub to that YouTube channel, youtube.com/@RealGameClique. You're going to find some exclusive clips and content there.
I've been saving up gameplay for it, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Hell yeah.
I sent you a clip of me, like, I think I sent it to you. I made somebody rage quit in Street Fighter. So yeah. But anyways, real good times. Happy New Year, people. Good things are coming this year. So yeah.
Yep. You can find me personally at CharmCityChamp on almost all social media platforms and gaming consoles. Friend,
he's not going to add you.
So you can see that I'm playing
on the gaming stuff. He's not going to add you on the gaming stuff. But he'll definitely add you on the social media, but he's not going to.
Yeah. I mean, I'll add you. I just probably won't play with you because I'll be busy playing Alan Wake, and that's not multiplayer. So
he doesn't even play video games with me. It's just
what?
So anyways, I'm Duke of Games. Duke_of Games on all relevant social media. So yeah, that's me. You can find me on the gaming stuff there too. I might add you. All right. But we got to have interest. I got to look at that profile and see that we actually, can link and have click some chemistry. Show me some chemistry in that profile.
So yeah, man.
Adding you and you play 2K.
Good. Anyway, y'all, be good, stay good. As always, we're out.